welcome to Delight and Fright.
Hi.
Hi. So excited to have with us today Mr. Zeph E Daniel, formerly known as Woody Keith III, writer of Society, Bride of Reanimator, Silent Night, Deadly Night 4, Initiation, Angel's Tide, writer and director, Dementia, co-writer and director, and writer of 2021's Girl Next, in which Larry Wade Carroll directed. So excited. Yay!
Yay!
I'm Kat. I remembered my name. Check. Luna.
Hello, everybody. I see some people trickling in, so thank you very much for, coming in the show. You want to take it away, Kat? What are we talking about first?
First, we're talking about my personal fave is Bride of Reanimator. I feel it's better than the original. I think because it has heart. Literally and figuratively speaking, those of you who've seen the movie will get the double entendre there. But it's just, Zeph, you're such a unique writer in your ability to write characters that do terrible things, yet we still care for them, and we can understand why the characters still have love for them. And some of the end of Bride of Reanimator is just heartbreaking, because that's that your creator is denying you, is refusing you. That age-old Frankenstein story. It just speaks to us all.
Well, I love Frankenstein. I mean, obviously, it's the most heartbreaking story on earth, pretty much. I mean, that's so sad, but it's humanity, Bride of Reanimator was a real hoot to do because we had, just in the creative process, I'll just give a little, inside baseball stuff. When we're developing the screenplay, and we started with, I remember, I think Rick Fry was a co-writer too on that, and we wrote a draft, and then I remember how it wasn't really, no one wanted to do that draft, so they just put it down, and we started over again in Brian Usna's living room with, I think there was me, there was some other people there, other writers. It was weird. They didn't have anything to do with the script. They were just there for feedback. Screaming Mad George was sitting over on that other side. We're just kind of circling Brian. And I just remember this one night where we were throwing out ideas like, well, what do you think? What's going to happen? And I just remember how how Screaming Mad George would come up with this idea of these various animated things, and then, we came up with the idea of the Dr. Hill head flying with bat wings, which
love it.
I think I blurted that out. I didn't think it was going to go anywhere. And then Brian seized on it, and he loved it, and then everyone loved it. There's bat wings. Oh, I think he was stoned. He was like,
makes total sense.
Around, and so it's really kind of fun to do. There was a lot of effects. The budget was, bigger than Reanimator, and it was bigger than Society, and it was like double that, So there was, it was the same people were backing it, a lot of Japanese investment, and, because they're backing Screaming Mad George, and there's real kind of a international collaboration in the financing of it. And it was just a lot of fun to do. I was happy then that I wasn't directing or involved in anything to do with production, except I would visit the set, after lunch, and then I'd leave. And I just love the fact that I could leave, because the hours were grueling on that. People were just knocking themselves out, going, every day was overtime. Every day was hard, because so many, and all the stuff you like, all those effects, all that energy that was going into the screen, that takes a lot of people working really hard. And I remember we had a warehouse rented, for the sound stage. All the sound stages, all the little areas were built inside that warehouse. And so, you know, warehouses are not known for their heating and cooling. So I think it was really hot in there at one point, and you know, there was a lot of tension. But I mean, hey, the result. Usually, when you do a sequel, especially something like Reanimator, we all felt a lot of pressure. Like, here's this great Reanimator. You know, here's, you know, how can you improve on that? And so we all felt that pressure. I hope, you know, and when you go to the set, you don't know if it's what it's gonna be like. You know what I mean? It's until it's all edited. But as it came together, you know, people saw screenings, and it was tested, and you know, people really liked it. I was really happy for Brian, because he you know, he did Society, and then we got it started off being slammed, and it was built up later, you know, and then became the classic it became. But then he got the you know, kind of a nod that, you know, there's a lot of fans out there that liked it just as much as the original Reanimator. I don't, you know, that was a lot of pressure on Brian to because he had Stuart Gordon, the great Stuart Gordon, you know, and I don't exactly know how I got the job. I think we were there was a shift in Gordon was going to do it, and then so the writers weren't going to do it, and so I wound up in there, and the next thing you know, we were off to the races, and it was just a very fortuitous. Mike Muskow, my friend Mike, producer Mike, that he was very much involved in it, and I'm just trying to think if that was that long night. It couldn't have been. Was that Society or Brian? They were running together in my mind. I remember we didn't have a script on the first day of production. I don't think we pulled an all-nighter. You know, we had all these ideas. We had a bunch of scripts, you know what I mean, but nothing really official. And so we just started rewriting it from page one, like the night before, and Mike was there, you know, feeding us coffee, and it was me, Brian, and Mike, and just, you know, just knocking this thing out, and then finally it got to be early in the morning, and Brian or Mike or somebody drove the script into the production office. From there, no proofing, no going over it again, no reading, no sending it out for other people's ideas and feedback, just hardcore straight to the production.
Wow.
And that,
nice.
The fact that worked out like that, it just shows something about the creative process. You know what I mean? I think we all knew what we wanted to do by then, because we had several drafts that weren't quite where Brian wanted it. You know, we had a lot of material developed, and we had a lot of drawings, a lot of, you know, excellent drawings, and a lot of enthusiasm behind with the people that wanted to do it, the executive producing team. I guess I was still Wild Street Pictures, and so they were really pushing to get it done, because after all, it's a sequel to one of the most, you know, kind of famous breakthrough horror cult films ever. And that's a lot of pressure, you know, it really is a lot of pressure. I mean, I remember saying, you think it'll be as good? You think people will like it? Yeah. And
I say so.
they did, you know, thankfully it worked out, because I mean, you really want the fans to be happy, especially with something like that, the Reanimator series. And then, you know, Bride of Reanimator, Bride of Frankenstein. You know, that's obviously you know, gonna tie in emotionally with a lot of people.
Yeah.
So that's you know, in general, I'd say looking back on it, it was a very positive experience all the way along, from the actual getting together and getting the job day one. I remember we were having dinner at a restaurant, and then when Brian asked me if I wanted, you know, if I felt like collaborating on it, and then all the way from there to the screenings, it was a pretty fortuitous, you know, I mean, you know, it was one of those things that it was just a blessed project. You know what I mean? It didn't have all the craziness and all the, you know, troubles that so many other productions have, especially that complex with that many effects.
So there was no middleman. There was no middleman. There was just the writing, and then you just
yeah. Well, they knew what Brian wanted to do, and they knew what Screaming Mad George wanted to do, and you know, that's going to be a lot of the effects, and so they're kind of like, well, that's what we need to sell it, you know, But as far as the story, Brian had the leeway on the story, and he just was going to keep rewriting that thing all the way up until the last minute. And that's just, and I don't know if he wrote beyond that, because by the time it was actually shooting, I wasn't really, I was there to visit, but when, I just like, oh God, I'm glad I'm not working here. It just was like a sweatshop. It was really, everybody was bunched into their little cubicles. Everyone had their little thing going with their effects. And it was exciting, you know what I mean? Very exciting for the actors, very exciting when something is production. But a lot of times I felt like as a writer that, my job's really done here. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I saw the filming of it, and the filming was excellent. The dailies and the just looked excellent. So I was like, okay, hope it's going to work out.
How close did the movie to your script? How close was it to your script? Was there some things cut out that you maybe wish was still in there?
Well, it was really, by that time, it was our script, because remember, in the end, that last day, it was me, Mike, and Brian. You know what I mean? Because Rick and I had a bunch of, we all developed. So how close was it to which script? We had several. So I'd say that last script that we did, that got numbered and got the colored pages and all that, and Brian he pretty much stuck to that. And I remember there was a long speech that I wrote. He was asking Mike, and he was saying, well, Woody worked that speech. Should we cut it? And then Mike goes, no, that's the best thing in the movie. I remember Mike saved my speech. But that was later on in editing.
Yay, Mike.
Yay, Mike.
Is that the speech with they're all the same now, cast off remnants of a meaningless existence?
Something, I don't know.
That's just beautiful.
But yeah, but very much a collaboration, and we were just all really happy that it all worked out. And and it got accepted right away. So it wasn't like Society where they're going, what's this? This is different. Oh no, they can't handle it. This was like, yeah, this is what we want. So it's interesting.
I have the official trailer if you guys want to check it out real quick. I can play it just in case. I see a few people. Really quick shout out to Juan. Hi, Juan.
Hi, Juan.
Hey, Juan.
Yeah, we have Cinecrypt in the house. Hello. And then Brian said, hi, Luna and Kat. I just watched Society. What a wild film. I can't wait to hear the story behind this film. So we'll get into that fun one next.
Okay.
Herbert West is not just your ordinary doctor.
Others dare not dream what we are about to do.
He intends to make medical history.
This is no longer about just reanimating the dead.
With the help of Daniel Kane.
It's never going to work. It's going to be uncontrollably faster.
And a few select friends.
West took my body, but he cannot take my mind.
He's about to bring his dream to life.
And God created woman.
Someone old.
What's dead is dead.
Someone new.
Right, man? How dare you judge my work?
Someone borrowed.
Who is she?
Someone blue.
This is more than feuding with human body parts. Is this what it's all about?
Something so shocking. It must be true.
There is my creation. Make a note of it, Dan! Rejects!
Daniel! You're coming! You made me!
I made you! Forget it, Dan. She's just an assembly of dead tissue.
H.P. Lovecraft's Bride of Reanimator.
Having fun yet?
Yay! Woody King.
Yeah, I haven't gotten so long, but there was that head right at the end with the wings there.
I have I have a quick question. I'm sorry to interrupt, but so I never put this together till now, but is Lorian West related to Herbert West?
The Wests are all kind of related, all the Wests,
I think
including
so.
that weird psychiatrist that was out in L.A. Who started the whole thing. But
Yeah.
the Wests are involved in very dark, deep, dark, secret projects. And Lorian is kind of, I would say, the way she's evolving now. She's people really going to care about her as they see her in the future. And, but at the same time, she's a deadly assassin. At the same time, is she really, or who is she really? So it's
I just had never put that together till just watching the trailer, and I was like,
is she did Herbert West clone Lorian West or some versions of her when he was working with Heinrich?
I don't know.
Ooh.
All important questions.
Yeah,
Oh, very important questions.
could be. Yeah, Larry and I like to brainstorm like that and just kind of.
This shit goes on. You have no idea.
We really enjoy just keeping on going with coming up with many permutations, especially as these characters want to live. I mean, look at Herbert West; he's lived on and on and on, and had a big career doing that. And so
Recently had a birthday.
yeah, but anyway, yeah, that was a great trailer, really.
Yeah, it was
That's
fun.
what it takes, right? You want to see it after seeing that, and are we having fun yet? Well, the creator rises up out of the depths to attack the creator. That's it. I mean, isn't that what? Well,
I think I still the copy of Bride of Reanimator I own on VHS. I don't actually. Well, I shouldn't say own, but I think it's the first movie I ever didn't return to Country Video in Alvin, Texas. I still have it.
They're going to come after you. One of these days.
No, there's a statute of limitations or some shit.
Brian said, I love Bride of Reanimator. That was a fun movie. Can you guys help me build my dream bride? LOL. Oof.
Well, it's AI now, so you can build your own. I mean, your imagination is, you're only limited by your imagination on something like that.
Just don't reject her. It's not good.
We all have virtual friends and virtual, spouse, virtual brothers and sisters. Everything is, and then the question becomes, what are we? What is isn't the virtual world really real? Just as real? I mean, if it's an AI clone, and you are able to have a relationship. Isn't that, I mean, of course, we're going to enter this. There's going to be a big discussion, but isn't that real? If you're giving into that relationship and receiving from it, even though I understand it could be a machine, it could be a flower, it could be a dog. I don't know,
But I mean, I think, therefore I am. If it's thinking and it's consciousness of its existence, it is. And then if so, like you're saying, we could all be in an alternate reality and not even realize it. It's just been rebooted over and over, and the Mayan temples and all that shit is just the last time it was rebooted and the stuff that's left.
Yeah. Is there an objective reality here? And there's, I don't know, what's that?
That's the creature known as Ben's.
Your dog agrees. He agrees with that.
But so, right, what is reality? And sometimes I wake up from a dream state, and then I could swear the world's a little bit different. It's not quite the same. Or like I'll see somebody that they seem different. Then next time I see them, they're back to the way they were. And I know I've appeared that way to people where I didn't seem the same, and then I was the old me according to them because of wherever their consciousness is, whatever they're projecting on me, and expecting from me. If they don't get that, then I've changed. But really, it's their projection. I mean, it's playing back and forth. So it's a really interesting question. Is this a simulation? And well, I do believe it is. I believe that time and space is a kind of an illusion, both of those. And I believe that it's something else that really is going on, and that we are kind of, if you will, and I hate to put all humanity in this, but duped into buying into this reality when oh hello,
It's like
Vince agrees
why is
again.
why the hard sell for everything? You know, if this is a reality and we should all just be chill, then why is there so much effort to get the buy-in? You know, like I wanted to ask you, you know, the only thing that makes sense to me where the rich want to get richer and richer, and it's like, what's the point? You can't take it with you.
Well,
So
yeah.
I'm like, the only thing that makes sense is if they found a way to live forever.
You know, the old saying, you know, money is the root of all evil, or the really the worship of money, which is the pursuit of money, is when people just pursue money and then power and whatever, and they get to be ruthless about it, their whole life, their whole whatever they were changes. They're no longer human the way they were, you know, in that pursuit. If you're doing something that, and this is my own opinion, but if you're doing something that pleases you and you get joy from, and you whatever that pursuit is, and you're rewarded or not rewarded or medium rewarded or some, the focus is you're doing something that's, you know, kind of your purpose in life to do, and then not pursuing it because of money, or not, you know, having that as a goal. It seems that people like that have a more, you know, have a better remain human. I guess that's the best way to put it. But people that pursue just money, fame, no matter what, you know, they, whatever it is, they just have to do it. And then, of course, you know, the compromises begin, and then there's that slippery slope. And then you don't know who you are, where you are, what happened. And then it's over, because life, I'm telling you guys, you youngins, man, it just goes bing like that. You think you got all this time ahead of you, but you'll wake up one day, you go, how did I get to be that age? I mean, that's ridiculous. I wasn't supposed to make it past 30 anyway. You know?
I mean, I can't believe I'm 45. I still feel like a kid. You know?
That's why you have to find your way to Dragon Island.
Yes, that's going to be
We just dealt with a lot of this in Dragon Island. So.
Right, that's why we're so hopped up on it, because it's like we're dealing with the ultimate temptation of the dragon. And actually, the dragon turns out, can I say this without ruining it, Larry? I mean,
yeah, you say whatever you want to, brother.
Okay, well, listen. So the dragon ends up being, you know, and, you know, the dragon who gives birth to Satan, the first king of Babylon, and on and on and on with that. Okay, the dragon ends up being more understandable and more, you know, more normal, okay, than the military-industrial complex. And of course, I never thought I would say that, but in our movie, in our proposed movie, Dragon Island, which we will do eventually, this dragon, you know, it's just really about, you know, recruiting, of course, and temptation, and leading you in, and it's very interesting. It's a struggle for the soul, but that all makes sense to me, you know. What doesn't make sense is the evil military who are trying to also blow up the dragon and take what the dragon wants, you know, what the dragon is. And of course, you can't destroy the dragon. And when I say dragon, I mean, we're going all the way back to ancient Sumerian.
Don't give too much away.
Okay, that's enough. Yeah,
I got my tidbits. I'll do my research.
The finale of the Quantum Quartet.
As a beautiful woman, you know, a temple.
We're in the movie number 4.
Yeah,
out of
and also then
only 2 is coming out.
Okay. I'll do that. Right,
well, we'll go along we'll transition to the military complex that you were discussing. I mean, we've recently had the military come out and say aliens are real, they exist.
Sure.
What is your take on that, Zeph?
My take on aliens is I just think I got a couple of things going. One, breakaway civilization. They got into all kinds of genetic experiments, and they once were humans, and then they became these hideous alien type beings. But they also have access to, not to everything, but because they need, you know, they need bodies to possess and things to come in here, because they're multidimensional and they're not really a dense 3-dimensional kind of thing. You know what I mean? They can come and go. like spiritual beings, like spiritual,
So you think that's where ghosts kind of get mixed with alien?
When I was in the hospital not too long ago, I saw all kinds of, I felt I was looking at the dead wandering around the halls. And, I was in an altered state though, with, a lot of drugs, a lot of antibiotics, a lot of, whatever, trying to fix it. I had an infection that was really just rampant. And, and I was seeing like little creatures crawling around up in the vents and down the, I don't, you can call me crazy, I guess. But I was seeing all this stuff, and I was talking to trying to get out of the nurses what they knew about it, and they seemed to understand something, but they were then insisting I was an alcoholic and that, I was having some kind of delirium tremens or something like that, which I was not. That was not the case.
Complete nonsense.
It's nonsense.
Yeah, and they're pumping you full of drugs, and they're like, "What's wrong with you?" Well, you're the one that pumped me full of drugs.
That's right. And then they use that as an excuse to say, "You see, you really screwed up. You need our help." And what's our help? Well, we want to put you on these prescription medications for the rest of your life. Excuse me, I don't want to be on those the rest of my life. And also, please don't misdiagnose me just to sell a drug. But anyway, that's the sad state of affairs there. But again, our society is in a fallen state right now. I think we all agree with that. We are in a fallen.
We're losing our humanity, and I can see how the ancient Mayans and these brilliant genius civilizations have fallen. They get to such an extent to where they start losing it. They start going backwards. Oh, the Earth is flat now. There's no such as physics. I'm like, good. What's going on?
Well, there's that, but then there's also this idea of, depopulating the planet, and keeping it for themselves and kicking us off the land. And there's that of the extreme wealthy elites are even worse than society could have ever imagined. But and a lot of these are also bloodline, meaning they intermarry each other. And they've been the force. They feel this is their planet. We're just taking up space on their precious real estate. And so we really have a struggle here with that. And as they become, more pronounced in their totalitarian, takeover, we're all kind of waking up to it and saying, we thought it was about us. We thought it was about this. We thought it was about that. The 80s, we thought it was all, it was Miami Vice, and it was, horror movies. Michael Mann. We thought it was, all that. And then, now here we are in the 2023 thinking, not knowing what to think really, with these endless wars and people having, political views that are, against other people being able to speak. I'm seeing a lot of people having their free speech taken away if they question vaccines, they question lockdowns, they question masks. You question any of that, it's like, we'll ruin your life, so shut up. And, so I don't know what's going to happen, but it certainly is exciting. I thank God I'm here now.
Well, I know the aliens are real, but I call bullshit on what we saw the other day, because I think I know that shitty FX guy. I think his name's Scott. And I recognize the shitty VFX, and I'll believe that there.
Well, the aliens are, we've had, so I've experienced an alien once. Okay. And this is really, really, and my wife was there with me at that time, and it was in the early 90s. And we were having like these sightings of these little ships and things around, and I felt this oppression from it all. And anyway, I was really scared at night. I was just terrified. And, and I just kept, I had this like dream that they were taking me out the window. Like I was being floated out the window. And I was, typical story that Bud Hopkins kind of had back in his time. And then one of these, I like to say it's a robot, but it shows up at the door, and its head is like no higher than the doorknob. and the eyes are like drilling me. They're like drilling me into my soul. I mean, it's just like I'd never been so scared in my life. I was too scared to go get a drink of water, you know, and then it eventually evaporated. And then I was flooded with all these memories of things and thoughts, you know, that there was still going on, even if you couldn't see them. And it was my one, you know, encounter. I actually painted a painting trying to capture those eyes, capture that, what I felt. And I did. And it freaked me out so much, I ruined the painting. I just started, you know.
No, you gave it away.
No, I ruined it first, and then I gave it away. I didn't.
That, by the way, that's Diesel Dyke number 2 back there.
Where is she? You back there?
Is that the lovely wife?
Yes.
That's the beautiful Trish
Aw.
Daniel, ladies and gentlemen.
The co-manager, you know,
He's the big boss of Craze House.
co-boss. She's really the boss, actually. But the
No, she trumps
Okay,
us. Yes.
okay. She trumps it. She has the.
I wanted to talk to you about your beautiful wife, because I you know, I love that. You know, we can't always choose our family, right? But we can choose our future family. And obviously you did a wonderful job with your wife. She's been through it all with you. So I just wanted to know how it helped you having her with you through everything.
Well, without her, I'd be locked up. So that'd be the end of that.
That's true.
At the whim of a psychiatrist, and who God knows how many drugs, and that would be he wouldn't see me. You know, every couple weeks I'm allowed to visit. You know, that's about it. But she's from Alaska, right?
Yes.
And people from Alaska are pretty grounded, I found. You know, I mean, pretty believable. And so she saw a lot of stuff with me. We saw stuff together. And she also had experiences, right?
Yeah, well, when I was quite young, I did. And I've had quite a few weird experiences.
I mean, you had experiences with the ships and with.
Yeah. One time when I was hiking through Haleakala Crater on Maui, I saw this ship come out of the side of the crater. And then they came after me. Here we were camping out there at night, and it's pretty bizarre because the next morning, the local paper, we walked out of the Kaupu Gap down into Hana area, and in the paper they had a photograph of the actual ship that
tried to abduct her.
And I just
tried to snatch her from you, man.
I didn't know her back then. She was living on Maui.
That was I was about 16.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I was like maybe 12, and my dad was he just like got brakes or something on the car, new headers, and he was hauling ass. And then we saw like late at night on 8th Street in Miami, and we saw these lights, and we saw a ship, and then he was hauling ass to try and catch it. And then the minute we got close, and then just poof, just gone.
They do that. They disappear. I used to watch them when I was young too. Really quite young, like 9, through telescopes. And I lived in this little valley off the Turning an Arm waterway there, where Captain Cook had to turn around, as it wasn't a throughway. I turned around, but anyway, I watch them, and I'd like be babysitting 3 little girls that were, like 6, and I'm like 9, and we're all watching them, and it was weird. They move really interestingly.
Yeah. They used to follow my brother around a lot. I usually didn't go out much late at night. He was out late usually, and he would see a lot of them.
Well, sometimes you see things like orbs going across the sky and other things, which may not necessarily be a ship, but it's also, there's a lot of really dark magic that goes on around New Mexico, and it's rumored that
think of them as
these are brujas that are flying around as these orbs. And they're, and you can see them every once in a while. I try to stay out of it. You know what I mean? This is called the land of enchantment. And I think it's the land of enchantment, meaning, there's a dark meaning to that, but there's also a lovely meaning, which means it's enthralling. The atmosphere, the light, the clouds, the storms, whatever. Anyway,
Nice.
I've gone far adrift.
Yeah.
Well, I'll reel you back in.
Yeah. Let's reel you back in with something very interesting. How about this? The Society trailer. Since we were talking a little bit about societies, this is oh man, this movie was great. This is personally one of my favorites, other than Quantum Devil, of course. Society is like up there.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen this a few times.
Beverly Hills is known as a society of wealth and privilege, but Billy Whitney doesn't seem to be getting his share. He thinks everyone is out to get him, even his friends.
You never were one of us.
He thinks that he doesn't belong.
They don't even look like me. Why are you guys doing this to me, huh?
He believes he's seeing things. Bad things. Beyond reality. Is it just his imagination?
I'm not paranoid. All my fears are real.
Or has Billy uncovered something terrible? Something unspeakable?
Don't go home, Billy.
What, you've been living with these people all your life and you didn't know anything about this?
If you don't follow the rules, Billy, bad things happen.
You know you'll make such a great contribution to society.
Who do you? And now Billy
It's showtime, Billy!
is fighting for more than just his sanity. He's fighting for his life. The time is coming for Billy to take his place.
Wow.
In society, it's all about fitting in.
Yeah.
Ooh.
You know what? Props to you, because I don't think I've seen that trailer, and I thought I'd seen them all working on the dock.
I see somebody recognizable right here. I see somebody recognizable here.
Yeah. Hello.
I wonder who that is. I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
you do now.
Yeah, and I saw the Rolls Royce I borrowed from a friend. I remember that this guy he was this entrepreneur and he wanted to retire before he was 30. And he was like 29 years old and he had this Rolls, the Corniche. And I talked him into it, letting us have it for that drive up. And boy, I tell you, it really made a difference, And that house that we shot at was in Pasadena. It was actually the Rose House, I think, the Rose Garden House, or something like that. It was on Orange Grove Avenue for anyone that's out there. And it's a house that has tours that go through it. It's an old, famous house. And so we mainly shot exteriors there, not interiors. And then interiors were in another warehouse not far from the Los Angeles airport. And, but yeah, it's a very prescient trailer, Mm-hmm. It's all about fitting in. It's all about you make a great contribution, meaning your sacrifice when we sacrifice. Mm-hmm. And the thing about that is that that's the reason I believe it has resonance is because it's just really just depicting reality. It's just that all of that is real. So I know people can't handle it, knowing that, but it's 100% real. And I'll say it here, just like I said when Larry was directing me in the documentary, directing the documentary, not directing me, but I mean, he was,
Well, I didn't direct you to tell the truth.
No, you tell the truth.
Give me too much credit, Monfrere.
I mean, you hear about it all the time now with like celebrities, they sacrifice their mother, their father for fame and fortune. You hear about this all the time. It's not secret. It's everybody in Beverly Hills knows that's real. Everybody. The power is at the very top. And those are the people that have the power, the really, high power people, many of whom you don't see in the papers, whatever, in the news media. But, They basically
Because
called.
they own the media.
Well, they own the media. They also own the mob. I mean, when the mob came in, they basically were collaborating with the mob to just have the mob bump off people that were in the way of progress. And and it's a club, just like George Carlin said, it's a big club, and you're not in it. And most people there, but the police, the fire department, the BHPD, Beverly Hills Police, the residents, everybody knows what's going on. But nobody says anything. And the human trafficking and child sex trafficking and child porn and all that's been going on as long as I've been alive. All that's been going on there, not just there, but I mean all over, everywhere. Just L.A., New York, Midwest, 7-Eleven, Park Avenue, $50 million mansion, Malibu, whatever. It's going on everywhere. And it's just
knowing all that, Zeph, and the families and things that are involved. I mean, it's got to be difficult to do anything. Every company you go to is from some family.
Yeah.
So how difficult is that? To just do simple things like go to the store and buy something.
I didn't want to have a fight with anybody. I mean, I'm trying to just live. But it turned into a fight, didn't it? I guess, and I, had to barely survived. And I don't know, but it's got to be just by the power of God that I'm even alive, because I should have been dead, 50 times over already. But why? Because, when you know anything, they kill you. Some guy said, the documentary, some critic goes, Zeph, he gives this without any proof, whatever. And satanic panic debunked that, years ago. It's like satanic panic is a concept along with false memory syndrome to shut people up. It's got nothing to do with truth. It's a total lie. And all this is coming out now. So I'm just watching it. I'm just sitting back. I'm vindicated now. Before I was just like crazy, radioactive, stay away from him, or trying to get, Trish to, agree to admit me into a hospital, something like that, which didn't happen. But those kinds of things, have one guy who I have a podcast, the Zeph Report, and one guy, he was a doctor. He gave me a letter that said I was of sound mind and sound body, and made an official letter from this official doctor, because he said, I have a feeling you're going to need that in a court of law.
Wow.
You're okay in my book.
Well,
you're okay in my book, brother. But,
and they, it's just like, and then afterwards, after the whole separation, and then when I tried to return back to LA, return back to society, and this is what prompted my writing the script. It was just like one big wall, and the only thing, and I could see what was happening, but and if I said anything, of course, you're crazy, you'll get it, radioactive, get away from him,
Yeah.
bad guy,
They tried to destroy your name, but you're just too goddamn talented.
I shared the documentary with the girls because everybody
Amazing.
watching is going to be out of the loop on this because they haven't seen it yet. It's only screened once, like in London. But once it comes out, it would be interesting to revisit.
Well, all the people are dead. That are not.
No, they're not. I see you.
Okay, well, I'm not dead. They're all dead. It's kind of like people that wait for a deathbed confession, right? And then they they say everything. So, but I didn't do it. It was really, for me, it was like trying to integrate the person that, the person that was Woody Keith and the person that's Zeph Daniel, trying to, have an integrated life, you know what I mean? And a healing. So, so I'm not.
So I actually wanted to ask about that because your name, there's a name change there. Formerly you were Woody Keith, and now you're Zeph E Daniel. So what was the catalyst for you wanting to get a name change?
Well, I was going to write this book, and I did write it, called Lamb. And
I love it.
Oh my God.
All right. I'm sorry.
Hallelujah. Well, I
They have
can't.
visual props on this show. This is very high tech.
Yeah. So I was, and then it was going to be a big novel with lots of points of view and things. And I didn't think I could write it. And I was, I had reached the end of my rope. I was beyond suicide. I was just in a tragic situation with my life. I was at the end of everything, and then I had my experience with God, that really, and then he starts, and I'm going to say this little bit of testimony. He starts telling me all this stuff and filling in the blanks. And then during that time as well, I just got the urge not just to have my name changed as a pseudonym, Zeph E Daniel, but to change it. And then and this is all a spiritual experience. When I was being urged to change it, in the spirit, it was really ZED, meaning the end of all things, the end of everything. ZED. So Zeph E Daniel is really, E doesn't really stand for anything, except it's just part of what I feel I was just, owing that to God for saving my life and just going ahead and turning it over to him and just becoming Zeph E Daniel. And then we made it legal. It became legal in the Superior Court of Los Angeles in the year 2000. Mm-hmm. And so I left Woody Keith behind kind of and just wandered out of LA into the desert.
Just got on your horse and was like, sunset behind you. Screw you guys.
And we've, gosh, New Mexico is kind of harsh in one way, but it's been real blessing, being here and having a place to go to. But it's been, it's once you're off the track and you're like this, you're different and you're not, people are not, you're trying to find the truth. A lot of time I spend my life just trying to figure out what the truth was. So when I started writing Society, after I got out of this screenwriting, this Hollywood Scriptwriting Institute, and the first thing I did is I started writing Society, but then I had all this like nervous panic attacks, all this stuff surrounding it. I had to hide it in the drawer and lock it. Just having a real terrible time. And but what I was trying to do was depict the way it was when I was being gaslit by people, by families, by their kids, by friends. Like suddenly they turned in these gaslighters. And we were friends before. But now that they're all down with the program, anyone who isn't is like targeted. So here I am kind of trying to deal with that. I'm using the script to test the waters. Is it real? Because when I came back to LA, I was kind of told that, in order to get, my freedom back, I had to admit that there's no such thing as Satanism, satanic ritual abuse. No one was there at the house that night, the Billy with the knife thing. That never happened. These are good people. You're on drugs, you're hallucinating, you're mentally ill, and you need help. And we can help you. And so I started secretly writing this thing because I'm supposed to be like putting a tie on and trying to go to work, in town and trying to be a normal guy and, to leave all that alone, leave it behind. Mm-hmm. And, it just didn't work out that way. And I went through a divorce and then I realized I've been on the Truman Show. And at one point I even thought the whole Film Society was just like a setup to get.
Hey, don't give away the whole plot of the doc.
Okay. Well, anyway.
But once you realize that there was ultimate evil, I mean, you realize there had to be ultimate good, right? There's that balance.
How could you miss, like in my case, having a very powerful grandfather who was like the LA Mafia, the head of the mafia? How could I miss that? I just didn't want to see him that way, And then he told me to change my name. So
I was wondering, because I'm looking at all the things you've done, and there's just a gap. From 2003, you wrote Glass Backwards.
Yeah.
And then we don't have anything until 2021, Girl Next. What was kind of going on there, if you're able to share with us?
Between that okay, so I was
from Glass Backwards to Girl Next.
Yeah, so I was Zeph, and I'm doing the Zeph report, and I'm, trying to get this house sold so I can leave town and all that. And then in the midst of that, I'd written Lamb as like a God thing. But then, Glass Backwards was my exit from LA. It's really just a big middle finger to everyone and that whole who made my life miserable. And, I started writing Glass Backwards, on my way out. And, eventually had this Christian publisher that he said, look, I've got a Christian audience. I can't publish this potty mouth book with, all this violence. I can't really do it. But I said, that's
Cutting people's heads off.
I just was in this state of like really a free floating, creative state. And I just love this character, Vincent Damien Del Monte, who was a serial killer that was used by people like the head of the studio, head of Paramount. I was envisioning. I had someone in mind. I can't tell you who it was. I could tell you, but I just don't want to because I just don't.
You have to kill us?
I don't. Well, I might get killed.
Yeah, no. We want you safe.
Yeah. So, but anyway, it was really. I was just so angry. I was so. It was kind of a defeat. My retreat from LA was kind of like I just couldn't pierce it, And they're not and you know what? Had I conformed to all their stuff and become their slave and did everything they wanted, which I was pretty much in a mind control state doing anyway. But had I been able to actually, with my full free will, say, yes, I'm down, I'm with you, I'd have a bullet to the head in 2 seconds because they can't trust you if you've been on the out. Once out, never in, Once in, never out.
Do you ever wish you'd never kind of opened Pandora's box?
I didn't even know. I was so naive as a child. I didn't know anything. I didn't understand what was happening. I really didn't. And they started in on us kids when we were like, 4 or 5 years old, even earlier than that. So, and when I say started in, I mean, sexual assault and, abuse and, I've explained some of this in the documentary, what kind of thing they do. And then they basically track the kids, through there, like, there are certain schools and certain, places that participate in all this kind of, I wouldn't call it grooming. I call it it's kind of like a conditioning children to take their part in society. Could I put it that way? And that it's not meant to be creating a bunch of perverts. It's meant to indoctrinate people into the way things are and then teaching them the social graces of keeping their mouths shut.
Yeah, because they got dirt on you, obviously. So
they got dirt on you. And then of course, when you get to be a teenager and you get to be really
realize
and then
this is not
easily
normal.
do stuff that's illegal. You could easily do stuff where they could have it on you, and then they groom you to be, president. They can groom you to be a senator or a congressman. It's, so it all, it's all that. And I wasn't trying to fight anybody though. I was just really just trying to, honestly, most of the time I just didn't understand what was going on. I have a high IQ, but I couldn't understand the simplest things. So,
well, after 20 years of taking a break, just about, what was it about the story of Girl Next that you reached out to Larry and you felt it had to be a film? What was it about that?
Don't point at me. I point at you, sir.
What
Larry,
was it that?
Yeah, I met Larry through Mike, producer Mike. It's a very small group here, and we started talking on the phone. And I had started writing Girl Next. Mike and I were, coming up with the story, and I was talking to Larry about all kinds of things because we were looking for a director, to direct this film. And I was talking to him, and Larry was just saying, "Okay, Zeph, just write it out, whatever it is. Just don't hold back." I said, "Okay, you too on directing. You don't hold back either, and I won't hold back. Let's just not hold back." So, it got a little bit of the, the mind control of the psychiatrist in there, and really about creating these dolls, which to me, in one way, Lauren is just a composite of everyone. Everyone is a clone. Everyone's a program. Nobody's real unless you really work at it. But then if you succeed in being real, then of course you're rejected. And that's so there's Lorian, and then there's the power mad Heinrich and Charlotte, and Misha. And I guess I don't know. I just saw so many drugs when I was writing. I couldn't help it.
Like, I need to share these with somebody, Larry.
Yeah, Larry and I both had like drug experiences where you had to get off the drugs, and so that was. And then he found a better drug, the Aquavelva, and the whole entrance in the quantum realm, which you have to go to the quantum realm in order to try to figure out what this is. And then you start seeing parallels between, this becomes the quantum realm too. And I think what Lorian does is she how would I put it?
No longer the same.
I can't, there's a word I want to use, but I can't.
I do the same thing. It's like, oh, that word.
But
so it's like, we're just another brick in the wall, right?
He disassembles reality.
Yes. Nice.
So she's there and she's deprogramming Heinrich in a certain way. And it's becoming this contest. Lorian, this is your quantum moment, and all that. And Lorian's already way down the track as a programmed individual, more than Heinrich underestimated her completely.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion.
But I love from the beginning, he's like, she's different. I really love the little foreshadowing, throughout.
Yeah, I think she had everybody beat, but Larry and I didn't really, it's funny, we didn't really understand the story. I don't think I'm assuming that's true for you too.
Right. No, it's true.
We didn't really understand it when we got done filming it. We
learned every step of the way. We had to go through the process of the editing and assembly to understand that we didn't understand it fully. I mean, we both fell in love with Lorian. No, we did, because she was the All-American Beauty, and we're just she's
yeah.
And you ruined it for me when on set after we did that one scene. You're like, Lorian, she's not who we thought she was.
I didn't do that. Me? You mean me?
No, you did. You told me. You said, she's naughty. And then I saw it and I was like, she is naughty.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I remember that when Marcus was there, aka Heinrich, and I was sitting on that sofa there by the entrance. And
yes, tell the story.
He was talking to me. We were talking. And then, the actress of Lorian goes up to the window on the other side of the door, and she just, kicks her leg up there, and all of a sudden I'm seeing all this leg, and I'm like, and then Marcus starts going, they're like little cats, they rub up against you. And anyway, and I detected that naughty streak in her, that adult. She's no longer a Lolita girl. She's like this adult, and she's and I'm like, I'm looking around. She couldn't mean she's doing that to me. I mean, I'm just told sofa, and it must be you, Marcus,
Marcus over there narrating like Wild Kingdom of Omaha, and slowly the predator puts a leg up on to track them.
Those kind of extreme situations that Misha and Heinrich were in, I just feel like we've gone through that with the drugs and with, not that extreme, of course, but I mean, gone through, incidents of, extreme degradation and toxicity, you might say.
It was always a real script for me. It always felt so real and so honest.
Well, that's the way, when you're a good writer and you speak from the heart, you don't always realize what you're putting into your work. And then others can interpret it and you're like, holy shit, how did they know that? Because it's what was going on in your life at the time that you feed into your art. What I'm interested to hear about what you got. What do you have planned next, Zeph? What what would you like to explore that you haven't gotten to yet?
Well, just finished the, I think third or fourth draft of Dragon Island, and that's going to be one big movie and a very interesting thing. I mean, I feel pretty exhausted after that, and then I'm trying to recount my hospital experience in a novel, Witch World. For now. It's not the best title, but I mean, Witch World, and which I'm trying to,
Oh, like which one? Not like a witch?
No, like
nice.
Brujas.
Okay.
And
I just thought it was clever. Like which world? Which one's real?
Yeah, they're like dismembering people instead of surgery. They're dismembering them and getting rid of the legs and arms and organs to, while they're still alive, and then telling the family that, they passed away, and so this kind of thing is going on, and it's up to this character. I mean, it's based on me. His name is Zeph, and he's in there, and I went through such an experience there. It was only there 8 days, but oh my God. There were just a lot of things occurred to me when I was in there, but I mean, there was real oppression, that like, have you been vaccinated? Well, no, like that. Okay, I'm sorry. We've got to get, and the room I was in, they said I was contaminated. No one could go in the room unless they put on these protective clothing. And so, but I started thinking about psychiatrists, and like I was wondering, I'd been to the ER, and I'm wondering if there was a psych ward there, and if they were going to try to move me to it, and so I was getting paranoid of, just fatigue and everything else, and so I started writing this thing. I started writing it on Substack live, no editing, just like raw, Nice. I got about 7 chapters in, and then I started getting some fear, like, okay, you better cut this out now. You better take this project and take it private, So it's another kind of society thing, right? To take it.
Well, I was on the sidelines for every moment of this, and I think when Zeph is writing, that if we get the opportunity to shoot it, it'll be like what Jaws did for the beach, Zeph will do for hospitals.
Oh shit! I'm already creeped out. And I had my nervous breakdown.
There's one good nurse.
My 8 days. I don't want to go.
It was horrifying. It was horrifying.
Well, the first thing they say when I get out of the ER and I get this room, like I feel lucky to get the room because there's no rooms available. You know what I mean? They might as well stick me in a closet somewhere. And got this room, and the first thing the nurse says is like, "Do you want us to resuscitate if your heart stops?" Just like that, point blank, right in my face. And
well, that's a tricky question.
No, I mean, of course I want you to resuscitate. I mean, why would you ask me that? I don't get it. I don't get it. And I know it has something to do with legal permission and all that, but just the attitude wasn't one of healing. It was one of, accusation. Like, you're sick. You have this wrong with you, and you have that wrong with you. And you have, heart failure, and you have this infection, and you have that, and probably you're an alcoholic too. We're going to test that out too. I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. Thank you for saving my life. How do I get out of here? And at one point, they wouldn't let me out. They said I was going to be discharged, and then they held me, and I started having flashbacks of being held against my will. And that was creepy, man. Especially these corridors and where they go, and these double doors, and there was this one character I created named Sarge. He was like the good guy. He was the one good guy. We were friends, and he wanted me to see this military bus that kept coming in at night. Every night, he would drive in, loaded up with something, and then drive away with a guy in a full military uniform. And I'm going, what the fuck is going on here? What is this? And then the next thing the guy gets his throat cut. And then, or did I really see that, or was I hallucinating?
Well, I mean, even as Zeph was telling me this stuff, I was having vibes of The Shining and The Mouth of Madness. I mean, I was just seeing it all unfold. Well, I mean, it's terrible because it actually happened Zeph was
Yeah.
in there on his deathbed. It was a terrible thing. But he's taken all that
Well, I didn't
experience,
realize I was that
pouring
close.
it into a story now.
Is
I
it
tell you one thing.
therapeutic for you, Zeph, to get that down on paper and get it out?
Well, let's just say that it unfolds in my mind as I'm writing it, so that it's like, I mean, it's more of a recreation, rather than a catharsis. It's more like I'm just trying to. Did I see that? Yeah, there were these snakes with like human heads on them. And
How are you able to hold on to that? Because sometimes I'll have situations like that and I'll remember things, but it's for a split second. It's fleeting. Like it's there and then it's gone. How are you able to kind of, remember? You just have a really good memory.
No, sometimes the plotting, you got to kind of keep going back through it to know where you are, and then it leads to inspiration to go a little further. And then you're not sure when you face a blank page. You're not sure if you're right or you're wrong, or you have all these insecurities. But then you reread it again, and that's pretty good. Then you venture out a little further, and it's a kind of a grueling thing. And I've taken a little break. I'm about at the halfway point now, and I'm gonna finish it. But there's just it was tying into human like the Zeph character isn't really me. It's another guy that was involved in. He had companies and he had been a success in the world, but then he decided to put all his efforts into busting human trafficking rings, and so that he and his wife, Trish, did that for a while. And then now he's in the hospital and they're trying to, and it's like, on the one hand, he's not sure if he's talking to God or the devil at times, because at one point he's got these like angelic creatures, people.
Well, the devil and God, Jesus, they were best friends.
So. Well, yeah, they're in there trying to get him to, to kill the head administrator, the hospital administrator. And then the other people are saying, you need to sign this confession thing and this affidavit, that the hospital's treated you, or else, we'll kill your wife. So he's like between this rock and a hard place, that it really does come down to that. And then he's also making fun, of course, in my own voice. I'm always mocking people and having satirical moments. And so he's making fun of, like, they had doctors, she's very skinny and spindly. And so he calls her Dr. Pinhead. And
nice.
There are people there, he calls them different names and stuff. So
well, that's how we're able to deal with terrible things, right? We have to see the humor in it. It's like it's laugh or go crazy, right? And we've already been down that track, so let's just move on.
Yeah, I'll move on after this thing is over. I just also feel a bit damaged.
No, you need a break, a breather, right? And
yeah.
Luna and I, when we watched the Darkside of Society, right, Luna, we just wanted to give you a hug.
Luna's been very quiet since she
went. I know. I have a ton of questions, but Miss Cat.
Go ahead. Here
Luna, catch up.
I know. I'm like, ping pong over here.
Where'd you get those?
Yeah, just jump in.
These earphones?
Unique, yeah. Pink.
If you haven't noticed, I have a pink thing going on.
Yeah.
I think it's new though. I don't remember that last time.
Well,
yeah, I had it.
All the frames, everything is very colorful. I love that.
Well, I'm pimping our wares.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love those posters. I've got my T-shirt of the Darkside of Society, and when I wear that I go to this chiropractor, and I wear that to the chiropractor with my hat and the same glasses, and then that T-shirt, and it confuse. They do double takes. They're confused as to.
They notice. They just don't want to acknowledge, but they know.
Well, anyway, it's. Thank you for being, nice to me on the, remembering why I wrote Society. It started writing it anyway. I got Rick involved about page 83 or so. I was starting to have a nervous breakdown because the whole thing was making me insane. And I found him I was going to get pages transcribed. so they could be in a computer because I did it on typewriter. And then, Rick was in there and he was like in the back room, and the person that was running that secretarial service, she not only knew Rick, but she had Rick writing a screenplay idea of hers. And then when Rick saw the society pages, he just jumped at it. He just like quit the job and signed on, with me. And then he went to town with it and did a couple hundred pages. And then I did another draft, 120 pages. Then I did a draft. He did a draft. We did a whole bunch of drafts. Really enjoyed the process of that. I don't think Rick, and I said this before, in the documentary, I don't think Rick really thought anything that I was, or Brian for that matter, thought anything I was talking about was real. I just don't think so. I tried to convince Brian recently. I don't think I convinced him that anything was real. I think but at least we can agree on one thing. There was trauma, and there was me dealing with trauma, which eventuated in starting the process of writing Society. And then eventually became, it was always about a boy in Beverly Hills growing up who was being sacrificed by his family, who was being gaslit into being sacrificed. And I think, it wound up being the same structure. Only the difference is what was added was, he was adopted. So therefore he wasn't really one of them. And they have a genetic difference, or a difference where they shunt and they can meld and change form. And he couldn't do that. So therefore, they raised him in their very own home to sacrifice him. And so I think Bryant brought those elements in to make it all make sense, right? Kind of a cause and effect. But in my earlier versions, and I had many of them, in fact, they wound up, being the catalyst for the movie itself. But there were some interesting things going on with the characters that didn't wind up in the movie. And one of them was this woman, Mrs. Carlin, who she was obsessed with hair. She was a picture as an older woman, not that one. But she would like blend up hair in the blender. And then at one point, she wound up in the country club with an apple in her mouth, dead. And people were coming up and taking pieces of her and cannibalizing her, in their tuxedos and stuff. And it never made it, but, you try.
Interesting.
And Clarissa was kind of modeled after somebody I knew. That they were all those characters modeled after people I knew. But Clarissa,
you have to save some for the documentary follow-up, my brother.
Okay. You just
Nice.
monitor me if I go. I'm sorry, I get carried away. And,
No, we love to listen to you, man. It was amazing when I got to work with you, and I heard all these stories firsthand, and it blew my mind. But we've crafted a few movies together now.
Yeah.
And they're on the way. In fact, one comes out October the 10th.
Yeah,
Nice.
Larry is going to Sieges, and
yes, I am.
And he's representing the Quantum Devil. He's representing Darkside of Society, which got into Sieges, which is kind of got in there.
Nice.
And he is going to present it to them and in Spain. And I think you did a really good job on it. And, and the music was great with Colin. Everything was good. My role in it was just to be there and talk on the camera. I didn't really do anything else.
Well, you told your truth, brother, and that's what we wanted to do. So.
You know what? It really did help in healing. Healing me. From the just sometimes I just got so messed up from everything that happened, and then this kind of brought things back together to where I have. At least now I can say that I am today I was telling people that I'm really happy as a person. And why am I happy I'm not happy with the world. I'm not happy with stupid people. I'm not happy with, things that happen that don't need to happen, that are painful. But happy meaning, within there's a kind of a harmony. And in that state, I feel that that's when I can actually do work and writing and stuff. You know what I mean? Because I'm not being bothered by these things, so I can just funnel it into the writing rather than having it be chasing me around.
Amen, brother.
So,
I know how you feel.
Yeah. Well, anyone who's ever been through paranoia, any kind of mind control, abuse from anyone goes through exactly the same thing. My daughter went through the same thing from her childhood, and she never really got over it. So, I mean, that was, but on the other hand, it's given me a great wealth of understanding of people that I can put into the writing. Because I've always been a wordsmith. I always liked writing. I always was a poet and a writer. And this, gives me a chance to, it's not always, I mean, it can be comedy, it can be, it doesn't have to be horror and trauma and terrible.
No, but we do delight in fright, my friend.
Yes, we do.
In fact, there's a rumor going around. There's a giveaway going on from Crazed House. I don't know. Maybe I've had too much to drink.
Tell us about the goodies, Luna.
There is. So, Larry, I have a follow-up question for you really quick before we do the giveaway. When can we expect the Darkside of Society to hit the mainstream for all the viewers that are interested?
I can tell you absolutely, I don't know. I'm just going to play at stages, and it's doing the festivals, and we're in talks with several people. But I can tell you on October the 10th, the Quantum Devil will be available to you. You, in fact, can pre-order it now if you get on our Facebook or Instagram or any of those social media things that I don't like to look at. You can click on it, and you yourself can have a pre-order for the Quantum Devil, and then you can sit and wait until October the 10th. And when it comes out, you can be like, oh, mind blown, because it's a Crazed House movie, and it's number 2 in a Quantum Quartet of 4, which includes the upcoming Never Ever After and Dragon Island coming soon to a screen near you.
Dragon Island is the finale, of the quartet.
All good stuff.
Yeah.
Of course, we will tell our friends at Delight and Fright before anybody else knows.
No, yeah.
Coming out.
Now you guys will get some inside info going.
Yes, sir.
Breaking.
So here's what Larry was talking about really quick, you guys. If you go here, this is the pre-order link. It
is.
So you just pre-order on these digital services. Download. Is it only available on Apple TV or?
Well, I don't know. Right now it says it's Apple TV. They say it's going to be everywhere. I just get excited when I see Tyler somewhere, and I get excited. So,
are we going to be able to get a hard copy, a Blu-ray, or anything?
Oh yes, yeah. You will have a hard copy. I promise you.
Awesome, awesome.
Yeah, guys actually got early information that nobody else has, so they're still working it out.
Nice.
I spent all day today working with Screen Media 1091 Pictures, and the fruits of that labor should make that link go like.
And that's a good place to be, Screen Media.
Amen.
That's a good place to be, because they. I didn't realize it, but they're tied in with Chicken Soup for the Soul, which is a big. I mean, those people are not involved anymore, but the fact is, it's a big power base there. Plus, all these documentaries on surfing, which I love.
Yes.
They got that going, and then I'm not sure of all the other stuff. They're tied in with some other distributors and different things, but and they do some pretty big movies too. I'd like to get to know them better, actually. And,
well, they've been talking to us every day, so I think we'll all get to know each other soon. What is that in your hand, Luna?
What is that?
Girl Next. And the winner of this beautiful copy of Girl Next is our viewer that commented, Juan.
Hey, Juan.
Hey, Juan.
You won a copy.
Juan.
Yeah, Juan. Girl Next.
Congratulations, Juan.
Juan, hit us up on social media with your information, P.O. Box, whatever, and we'll get this shipped out to you, courtesy of Crazed House.
And Larry,
Delight and Fright.
This one is highly supervised by us. This DVD, we remastered it, and we, painstakingly went through everything, the sound, everything, to make sure it's It's nothing like the one on. I mean, can I say this? The one on.
No. Don't say too much.
Okay, this one though is special.
This is the director's edition from Grace House with exclusive commentary you can't get anywhere else, an exclusive picture, an exclusive sound mix by Zeph E Daniel out of his studio in a remote location in New Mexico. It's the tits. It's tits.
Nice.
Everybody likes
Yay.
The
Not against tits.
now the second item.
I like them.
This is a graphic novel by Zeph E Daniel, the companion book.
Novel.
Yes, it's very good. It's the companion book that goes to Girl Next. We have drum roll, guys. Brian.
Yay! Brian the Video King.
Brian, reach out on social and we'll send you the copy of this one. And we have yet another copy of Girl Next. And this one is gonna go out to, drum roll please. Our viewer Cinecrypt from earlier. So, all right, to all of our winners today, thank you so much. Reach out to us. We'll coordinate getting this out to you guys.
Yes.
And tune in sometime in December. Larry is going to jump on with us. We're going to talk about Quantum Devil once it releases to get you guys onboarded with the experience. It's the next movie after Girl Next. It's amazing. And we cannot wait to have you guys for this one also. There is going to be a very special giveaway to one viewer on that one. It's going to be a very special coin that you can't get anywhere else.
Whoa!
Yes, it's a one of a kind.
Collector item.
It's a collector item, one of a kind. Only, I think 500 were made.
We only made, I think, 500 for Texas Frightmare Weekend, and those all went to the VIP guests of Texas Frightmare Weekend, and there was a small reserve held back for Delight and Fright viewers.
Ooh. So those are going to be handed out, of course, since they're Quantum Devil coins. We're going to hand those out at the Quantum Devil Talk. So if you guys want one of those exclusive coins, please come out, support us, support Craze House, buy their merchandise, buy their movies. They're amazing people. Support their work. We always love artists that put out really good material, and these are the guys right here that never seem to amaze me and deliver amazing quality.
Thank you. Wow, you guys are great.
Thank you.
Well,
we appreciate you guys.
You should send them over to Spain too. I mean, you know.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if they would go or not.
Well, you
never know Spanish.
No.
Well, my ancestry.
I have a passport.
Actually, Luna told me. Yes, Luna, go ahead.
My family is from. Oh my God, I'm blanking out. Larry, can you remind me?
Catalonia.
Catalonia. Thank you.
Famous. Wow. Our fantastic DP of all Crazed House films so far. Wow.
Catalonian.
Maribet.
So Brian
Thank you,
says, thanks for the book. I'm currently watching Girl Next, but I had to pause to watch the podcast. Thank you for that.
No, you got to watch Girl Next Uninterrupted. You can't do two things at once. You got to really.
Well, he needs the book. The book helps fill in those gaps.
Oh yeah, he does.
Really helps you put things together.
Thank you for the DVD. Can't wait to see it. You're welcome, Juan, and thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Do you want to say anything, Larry, before we end this lovely stream?
I just want to say thank you to Delight and Fright for the support, and thank you to everybody watching, and thank you to all the fans. And we do this stuff because we're fans ourselves, and we care about what it feels like when you watch it. So we hope you like it. Keep watching.
Yeah, keep watching for more. And next week we have awesome goodies. But stay tuned for more information, guys. All right,
Thank
everybody.
you, Zeph. Thank you for
Thank you,
joining
Zeph.
us.
Yes.
It's been a
Yes,
pleasure.
thank you, big man. Z-Man has been on the pod.
Yay. Well, I was here.
Bye.
I didn't blow it, right? No.
Bye,
Oh, good,
everybody.
man. Great, Zeph.
Bye-bye.
Bye.